So I did an article on the climate change debate, not climate change itself, because when it comes to that, I really genuinely don't know where I stand because I haven't read the research. I have not read, I'm not talking about I haven't read books about the research. I'm saying I have not read the actual research. And until I do that, I'm not going to have like a set specific opinion. But I do want to talk about the debate itself because that's something I actually am aware of, but not too many people are for some reason about what the debate actually consists of. And I'm hoping that maybe I can like bridge some ground here or create a bridge between the different sides because people don't actually understand what other people's positions are, as always. So that's what I'm going to go through with my article that I wrote here for Being Libertarian. That's beinglibertarian.com. I'll leave the link itself to the actual article in the description. But misconceptions of the climate change debate. This is one where, to summarize, basically, there's 5 different premises when it comes to climate change. And you're probably not going to agree with all 5. You might, but I highly doubt it. In fact, you'll probably find yourself somewhere in the middle. But the issue is, I think too many people realize that it's either an all or nothing, or too many people think it's either an all or nothing thing. Where everyone's either on the one end where it's completely fake and everything is fake and it's all some New World Order conspiracy, which is definitely a position, but it's not a popular position. And then the other side of we literally need to sacrifice absolutely everything, including civilization itself, to stop climate change. Those are the endpoints of the position, or the 2 possible like endpoints of the debate. And I don't think too many people fall on that spectrum, but we'll go through each of the 5 different premises, and they're incremental. So if you're going to accept premise number 4, you're probably like almost definitely going to accept premises number 3, 2, and 1, and so on. So the first premise: climate change is happening. Like, is it actually happening? Is it something that that is abnormal? Now, even the people that think it's all some conspiracy, they all admit that the climate is changing, but it's all down to like, yeah, the climate changes. Big deal. Is it changing in any way we should be concerned of? Because you'll see all these charts of, oh, we went through a small ice age here, and then we went through this and this and this. And the whole point of the people that reject even premise 1 is saying that, like, hey, it's this thing, we don't have enough information to determine if this is something that's natural. We have this isn't something we should be really concerned about because we don't have enough research, or if we do have the research, it shows that it's not a significant problem. That's the people that reject premise 1. Again, I'm trying to hopefully lay this out as neutrally as possible, to the point where it doesn't come across as to what position I actually have, even though I will clarify that in a bit, to where I kind of sort of stand as someone who hasn't really read much of the research. But that's the first position, people that reject that it's even happening in an abnormal way or in a way that's worthy of concern. Now, next is, obviously, they accept premise 1, that climate change is happening. Like, okay, it's something that's happening. It's something we should probably keep an eye on. It's something that's definitely going to impact us eventually. We should pay attention to it. But then they stop at premise 2, which is climate change is man-made, and determining whether or not human beings are a significant factor in this. Now, of course, there's always human beings might contribute to 1 or 2% of the climate. But again, is it actually like, are human beings the people that are completely responsible? Because if we're not responsible, then it's like, well, what can we really do about it? If we didn't cause it, then how can we fix it? How can we do like that whole thing? That's the position thereof. Is it really us that's actually doing it? And they're not really sure. It's like, how do you figure out for sure? Now, there are probably ways to figure that out. You can measure like CO2 output in that and how that affects the climate. But of course, that's their position right there is it really happening? Or is it really caused by us? But then they'll stop at the people that accept that, then they'll accept that, yeah, climate change is happening, climate change is man-made. And then they'll stop here at premise 3, which is climate change is actually worth doing something about. And these people are called lukewarmers. This is kind of the middle ground position where I'm generally, I don't know if this is where my position is, but I'll fully admit I'm more favorable towards this position, which is, yeah, we can admit it's happening, we can admit it's man-made, but is it really worth stopping? And what I mean by that is like there is a cost-benefit ratio here. Because say, for example, that we know that, say climate change is happening, say it's man-made, we know that in a certain time from now, or at least we can make predictions, if you're someone that accepts the first 2 positions, the first 2 premises, you'll believe that we can make some kind of prediction as to how much the climate will change so many years from now, over the next century or so, what degree change that is, and what impact that will have on human beings. So, because someone was even bringing up, I have no idea if this is true, but I've seen this position from the lukewarmers, which is, oh, the ice caps are melting. Believe it or not, that if the ice caps continue to melt in this one spot up north, that will actually create a trade route, which will save so much money when it comes to trading goods. And the thing is, that's it. Like, that's an undeniable benefit. Like, that's a thing that will save money. That's something that will make things better. That's something that will make society better, because trading goods is now easier. We're talking now we can develop third world countries better because goods can get access. They can get access to goods easier. Stuff like that. That'll overall raise the standard of living of a large part of humanity. But then obviously there's the thing. It's like, what happens when the climate gets warmer? I mean, you have to spend more on air conditioning. You have to spend more, and I'm no climate change expert, but I'm told it gets worse in the winter. That it's not just so much that the world gets warmer, but also that there are more extreme winters and natural disasters, and that needs to be factored in. Obviously, if that's the caused by climate change, if that's caused by our actions, what will happen? How much is that going to cost? Like, how much is that in terms of human lives? And that's all something to factor into. But that's what the lukewarmers do, really, is actually go through the cost-benefit analysis. Because you got to remember that, let's say we take actions to stop climate change. Well, we're talking about industry that will have to shut down. We're talking about all these different things that produce CO2 that we're going to have to stop producing if we want to stop climate change. And that's what it comes down to. Is it worth it? Is it really worth it? And I think this is where my bias comes in. I think that's a genuine question. Like, is it actually worth it? I don't know. But that's something that I think people are way too dismissive of. I don't know if it's worth it or not, but it's something to keep in mind. That it's really worth analyzing. Like, is it better to stop climate change, or is it better to allow climate change to go forth, but take steps to account for that, and how are we going to live and take care of the environment, those kind of things. But then next is where I'm definitely getting off the off the train here. I do not accept this fourth premise. So just to show where I am. Premise 4, government policy can stop climate change. And this is where I think, this is where a lot of the libertarians get involved in. Because the issue is that people are like, okay, yeah, climate change is the thing. Therefore, the Paris Climate Agreement, that's it. The Paris Climate Agreement, people were like, yeah, that's a good thing, and it's awful that Trump pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. It's proof that he's a climate change denier. If you don't support the Paris Climate Agreement, you must. I had someone actually tell me this, that when I was like, yeah, I'm not really for the Paris Climate Agreement, they were like, but the climate is changing. It's like, okay, like we're on two different premises here. You're going back to premise 1. I'm on premise 4 here. That is the Paris Climate Agreement actually a good agreement? How many of these people that are for the Paris Climate Agreement actually read it, or at least read a summary of it? Not too many people. I mean, I read a summary of it. I'll fully admit I didn't read the whole thing. But from the summary I've read, which is more than most people have read, like, it doesn't seem like a good deal. It doesn't seem like something that matters. It was something, again, I'm just throwing out numbers that seem right, but it was something like an incrementally small amount. Like, it would cost billions of dollars to change the global temperature by like 0.01. It was something so small that really it was like, why are we spending money on this? But that's the thing, like, why would you trust the U.S. government, which, I mean, trust any government, but the U.S. government is one of the worst violators of pollution law in the U.S. Like, who violates pollution law more than anyone else? The U.S. government. So why trust them with saving the environment? That's where I get off, is to say that, where I get off the whole, like, premise, the premise train, is to say that I don't know if they're the best way to do it. I don't know. I can't trust the U.S. government. I can't trust any government to solve climate change. I don't think it's going to work. I think, honestly, you leave it to the private industry, and will they be able to stop it? I don't know, but they'll probably be able to do a better job than the U.S. government or any government. Because I don't, like, again, look what they've done. I don't see any efforts, any legitimate efforts that seem to be effective at actually fixing the environment. But again, that's me talking about what I believe, which isn't the point of this video. The whole point is, what do people actually believe? What are the premises? And then the fifth premise, which I think a lot of people, they'll be like, yeah, I guess I can agree with that. But then they'll immediately get off the train here, get off. They won't be on board anymore when I actually explain what it means. But premise 5, climate change must be stopped at all costs. And again, like, people will probably be like, yeah, it's something important that should be stopped and we should be able to sacrifice things for it. No, I'm talking about the environmentalists who say this is something that if we don't fix it now in the next 10, 20 years, everything's going to go downhill. Like, it is such a big issue that it is the most important issue of our time. We need to fix it now. Like, they're putting emphasis on how insanely important this is, and we must stop it. Now, these are the people I genuinely don't really like, because they seem to be massive hypocrites. If you want to go to the extreme end of climate change must be stopped at all costs, there's this group called the anarcho-primitivists, which are essentially like more on the like communist anarchist side of things, that really believe that like civilization itself was a mistake, that we need to go back to the old ways, like abolish the division of labor, which is incredibly moronic. But they're the idea of like, yeah, we should be living in the forest kind of thing, like they imagine the Native Americans lived like in harmony with the land, that kind of thing. There are those people, and the reason they're usually called massive hypocrites is because they're like, yeah, we need to get rid of civilization, as they go back to their heated home set to 80 degrees in the winter and pretty much enjoying all that is with human civilization. And they don't seem to be interested in actually like doing it, in actually living off the grid, which plenty of people live off the grid. But as far as I can tell, a lot of the anarcho-primitivists don't actually do that. And then there's the environmentalists that are like, yeah, like we need to stop this now, as they go back to their third mansion that they've made from all the money they've spent, or all the money they've made, saying climate change is a big deal, it must be stopped. And it's like, sure, could it be a big deal? Sure. But is it the most important thing? Is it really the most important issue? Now, I think this is a very minority view. Like, you'll generally have a lot more of the public figures, the public, like the people that are environmentalists for a living, those kind of people. It's like, yeah, they'll probably fit more into this category. But I think most people probably fit either into the lukewarmers or the government, or like they accept up to premises 3 or 4. Where it's like, yeah, climate change is probably a thing. And now on the other side of the debate, like, yeah, they'll probably accept climate change is happening. So what? Like, is it really man-made? I don't know. I think those are the two sides of the debate, where most people are. But again, there's actually 6 sides to the debate, because there are 5 different premises. And that's my thing. And actually, there's a good quote I found on there's the term watermelons, which people use to refer to the people that accept premise 5 here, because they're green on the outside and red on the inside. Green being environmentalist, red being communist, Marxist, which tends to kind of be true, because it does seem like when I pay attention to like the Marxist circles and the environmentalist circles, I forget what I've seen someone genuinely say, well, like we have 10 to 20 years to overthrow capitalism or the environment is gone. It's like, no. But yeah, I hope this helped. This is me just laying out, these are the 6 premises. I know I obviously, towards the end, I kind of started talking about what I think, but I'm trying to emphasize how important it is that we understand these 5 premises. Because when people get into a debate, they're, like, again, when they were debating me with the Paris Climate Agreement, they weren't debating whether the Paris Climate Agreement was good or not, when I said it was bad. They were debating whether climate change exists. And it's like, you just missed 4 premises right there. You just jumped like that. So, honestly, like, if you know someone that you're going to debate on climate change, or if you know someone that, like, if you meet someone and they start bringing up climate change, bring this up to them. The 5 different premises. Go through the list. Say, like, start with premise 1. Say, okay, do you believe this? Do you believe this? Do you believe this? And keep going until you hit the spot where you both disagree on, and then debate that one. Because if you're someone that believes, like, yeah, the climate is changing, and the other person thinks you're a climate denier, and they're up here on premise 4 or whatever, then start with premise 1. Like, okay, I agree with the climate is changing. Do you? Yes. Okay, good. Premise 2, climate change is man-made. That's where I disagree. Okay, let's debate that. But I think that'll save a lot of time and a lot of just assumptions of what other people actually believe. Because this is, like, people keep jumping between these 2 endpoints. It's like, no, there's actually a bit more nuance to the debate. And again, I know I made it kind of clear towards the end where I stand, that I definitely don't accept premises 4 and 5. And I most likely accept premise 1. But I shouldn't have even said that, honestly, because I don't want to make this video about where I stand. I want to make the video about what the debate is, because that's important. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Hopefully this helps, because as I was going through it, I'm like, that's usually what one of my biggest goals is. Not so much to put out my views, which I do quite often, obviously, but I've been getting a lot into trying to explain the other side of the debate. I did that with actually at the very top of this article. I have a link to the topic of abortion, which I did an article on, where I didn't even give my position. And actually, I think it's pretty clear from the article, or I should say, from the article, I don't think you can really tell what my position is. I think I did a very good job of laying out not where I stand, but what the two different sides are. And I think that's stuff that I think too many people are missing, as to what do other people actually believe. Like, don't straw man their position. But anyway, wow, this went on for way too long. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.